When Wes Ball first signed on to direct The Maze Runner, he brought more than just a love for James Dashner's books. He brought a visual effects background. This was huge, not just metaphorically, but literally. Ball had spent years tinkering with animation and VFX before stepping behind the camera, and he knew exactly how to stretch a modest budget into something that looked enormous on screen. Instead of being intimidated by what couldn't be built, he embraced it. He treated every scene like a puzzle. How do you make something feel massive without actually having millions of dollars to construct it? Ball's approach leaned heavily on camera tricks, clever lighting, and a grounded style that kept the audience immersed. He avoided wide, epic shots just for the sake of spectacle, instead letting the actors' physicality and the environments around them carry the scale. Because he was so comfortable with VFX, he could visualize how a tiny warehouse set or a few modular pieces could be extended digitally later. Pre-visualization became his playground. If a corridor looked tight on the warehouse floor, he knew how Method Studios or Weta could expand it in post-production without breaking the illusion. Budget constraints didn't feel like a limitation, they were a creative accelerator. Ball's VFX mindset meant he could plan shots that looked expansive and terrifying while keeping construction manageable. Every shadow, every peak of sunlight on the maze walls was designed to make the world feel lived in and massive. It's the kind of thinking that gave the film its unique identity, a claustrophobic, mysterious world that somehow feels endless. The first movie leaned heavily on practical sets, because there's nothing like a physical environment to make actors and audiences believe in the stakes. The Glade, the open, central area where the teams live, was constructed on a Louisiana farm. Baton Rouge, to be exact. And the choice wasn't random. The farm offered wide, flexible spaces that the production could control, while still looking wild and slightly overgrown. For scenes with trees, walls, and pathways, the team brought in actual foliage and constructed simple, sturdy pieces that could be rearranged as needed. The maze itself was a completely different beast. Instead of attempting one giant static maze, the filmmakers built modular corridor pieces inside a warehouse on Airline Highway. These corridors could be reconfigured into different layouts, giving the illusion of a constantly shifting labyrinth. It was a practical solution that doubled as a narrative device. The maze itself is unpredictable, and the modular setup mirrored that uncertainty. But here's where Ball's VFX knowledge and previs, post-viz experience really shine. Every corridor configuration was meticulously mapped using pre-visualization, previs, and post-visualization, post-viz. The third floor, the studio that specializes in these techniques, worked closely with the director and stunt coordinators. They used previs to lock down geography for stunts, so the actors could run, fight, and climb without anyone getting hurt. Post-viz then allowed VFX artists to integrate the practical maze with digital extensions, ensuring continuity and believability. This meant that when Thomas, Minho, or any Glader ran through the corridors, the audience genuinely felt the scale, danger, and disorientation. The corridor might be just a short stretch of set, but in the film, it could feel like a mile of twisting, living architecture. The practical first approach gave actors real terrain to interact with, and the digital extensions made it feel epic, seamless, and cinematic. No discussion of The Maze Runner is complete without talking about the Grievers. These monstrous, semi-mechanical creatures were born from Ken Barthelme's concept designs, which started as sketches blending organic and mechanical elements. Early concepts included slugs, crabs, bulldogs, piranhas, basically anything that could feel alien but still grounded. Director Wes Ball requested a mechanical scorpion tail for extra menace, and Barthelme adjusted anatomy and posture to accommodate it. The Grievers were meant to be terrifying, but also believable enough that actors could react realistically. Once designs were approved, Method Studios Vancouver translated them into fully realized digital creatures. They built a skeleton, musculature, and mechanical limbs so the VFX team could simulate realistic weight, balance, and motion. Because Ball favors actor-driven, handheld-style camera work, the Grievers had to move believably in close quarters. The camera doesn't pull back for CGI spectacle. It stays intimate, tracking the actors' reactions, which meant that Grievers couldn't just float or flail unrealistically. Every movement had to feel grounded. The cast's preparation played a huge role in selling the world. Dylan O'Brien, Ki-Hong Lee, Thomas Brody Sangster, and the others underwent intensive physical training to make running, climbing, and fighting look authentic. Their schedule was fast-paced, multiple takes in maze corridors, stunts, and high-speed sequences in a single day. O'Brien even performed stunts himself, which added a layer of realism, but sometimes came with risk, as evidenced later in the series. Behind the scenes, the ensemble bonded over communal meals in hotel kitchens, which strengthened on-screen chemistry in ways only shared, stressful, high-stakes experiences can. The combination of modular maze sets, VFX Griever pipeline, and grounded camera style meant that every chase, fight, or panic moment felt visceral. Audiences weren't watching a character dodge green screens. They were watching someone sprinting for their life in a maze that genuinely felt alive. With the sequel, Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials, the filmmakers had to scale up dramatically. The story moves from the confined, overgrown Glade to a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Enter Weta Digital. The Vancouver-based VFX studio brought huge digital cities to life, many of which were meticulously destroyed through procedural simulations. Buildings were modeled digitally and then blown apart frame by frame to create realistic urban decay. Sandstorms, scorched terrain, and abandoned city streets were all layered digitally on top of practical sets where needed, and it gave the filmmakers flexibility that a modest physical budget couldn't otherwise offer. Meanwhile, the Cranks, the infected antagonists, were realized using a combination of ADI makeup and VFX augmentation. Ken Barthelme returned with concept sketches showing progressive stages of infection, from subtle human traits to horrific overgrowths. ADI's prosthetics applied these designs practically for close-up shots, while Weta and other VFX teams extended textures and decay digitally. This blended approach made the Cranks look grounded, disgusting, and functional within the world, just like the Grievers before them. All of this required a careful handoff between practical departments, VFX teams, and previs, post-viz teams. Set extensions, makeup, stunt choreography, and digital animation all had to align perfectly. Ball's VFX background again proved invaluable because he could visualize the full sequence from warehouse set to massive digital cityscape and maintain continuity. The practical-first mindset remained intact, but it scaled up dramatically. Desert sequences, collapsing structures, and sandstorms now had to feel tangible while being digitally augmented. Finally, the third installment, The Death Cure, was briefly halted in 2016 due to Dylan O'Brien's serious onset accident. Filming stopped while O'Brien recovered from a concussion, facial fractures, and lacerations sustained during a stunt. The incident highlighted the dangers of practical stunt work, particularly in high-speed or vehicular sequences. Subsequent shoots incorporated enhanced safety protocols, improved planning, and stricter stunt supervision. O'Brien himself has reflected that his concerns about stunt safety were not fully addressed before the accident, underscoring a broader industry lesson. You can build massive worlds and create immersive spectacle, but personal safety can never be compromised. The lessons learned fed back into the production culture. Stunts became safer, previs and post-vis planning became more integral to risk mitigation, and the actors' physical prep continued under stricter oversight. The combination of Ball's VFX savvy, practical sets, actor-driven filmmaking, and digital augmentation ensured that, once filming resumed, the series maintained the same grounded yet epic feel fans had come to expect. Wes Ball's VFX expertise and practical-first approach allowed the Maze Runner films to create expansive, believable worlds on a modest budget. Modular sets, previs, post-viz, and actor-focused camera work ensured stunts and digital effects blended seamlessly. Ken Barthelme's Griever designs, combined with VFX, added realistic creature threats, while cast training and bonding enhanced authenticity. For Scorch Trials, Weta Digital's city destruction and ADI makeup for Cranks expanded the scale without losing realism, and Dylan O'Brien's on-set accident led to improved safety and production practices. The result is a trilogy that feels massive, intense, and immersive, all without relying on a blockbuster-level budget. It's a testament to careful planning, practical ingenuity, VFX know-how, and a director who knows how to get actors to sell a world that is bigger than the sum of its parts. Fans of the series may never realize how much clever thinking, modular design, and digital wizardry went into creating the Glade, the Maze, and the Scorch. But that's the magic. It all feels real, terrifying, and alive. Thanks for watching Collider. See you next time.